Obviously, there are a lot of technical problems with space travel. It's a difficult business getting someone there and back and healthy and sane during the process. But there's another whole aspect to this business. Because sitting around in the scientific journals for the past 15 or 20 years now have been things like time machines and time tunnels, wormholes in space, highly warped regions of space where you could go in someplace in our universe and come out in another universe, or go in one of these holes and come out back in our own universe at a different time, 1 billion years ago or 1 billion years in the future. And these are some of the most fantastic, hypothetical things that science has ever given us.
In our future explorations of the galaxy, will we one day make the discovery that will fulfill H.G. Wells' dream of time travel? Will we find the mechanism to travel backwards and forwards through time? I am afraid I cannot convey the peculiar sensations of time traveling. There is a feeling of helpless, headlong motion. As I put on pace, night followed day like the flapping of a black wing. So wrote H.G. Wells in 1895 in his incredible novel, The Time Machine. Wells described a machine of brass, ebony, ivory, and translucent glimmering quartz. It was designed to take man on a journey through time. Wells clearly understood the implication of traveling backwards and forwards through the centuries and depicted it as a wonderful adventure. In an effort to accurately predict the future, H.G. Wells strove to utilize the latest scientific theories of his day. A strong proponent of the theory of evolution, Wells suggested that the environment of industrialized England would cause the factory workers to evolve into what he called Morlocks. The Morlocks were pale, pink-eyed, carnivorous creatures who inhabited underground caverns of complex machinery. Wells saw a different fate for those who lived the life of leisure in society. After thousands of years of living without need or conflict, Wells proposed that they would evolve into what he called the Eloi. The Eloi were childlike creatures of limited intelligence who would frolic and gather fruit on the surface of the earth. Today, the evolutionary prophecies of H.G. Wells seem to many unlikely. But is it possible that someday science may actually build a time machine?
Having a time machine is a very attractive idea. We all have things we'd like to go back and change about our lives or maybe affect history somehow. But scientists have trouble with time machines. There are a lot of illogical inconsistencies that develop. For example, if you had a time machine that could take you back 1 billion years in the past, well, then you should certainly have no difficulty going 5 minutes back into the past. And if you could go back 5 minutes, you could meet yourself and tell yourself, literally, what kind of a nice trip you had. And then both of you could do the same thing. And then all 4 of you could do it. And then all 8 of you could do it. In other words, there's an inherent inconsistency that suddenly comes up. If you could travel back into the past, then reality must be irrational. There must be a very irrational part to how the universe works. And we don't see this going on around us. And for this reason, when scientists find time machines popping up in their calculations, a lot of flags go up and they begin suspecting that they've done something wrong.
If there is any chance of a time travel mechanism existing, it will probably be found in distant space. Some scientists believe that when a giant red star explodes, the remaining core may collapse down to an incredibly dense ball of matter called a black hole. The gravitational field around a black hole is so intense that not even light can escape it.
The full description of how black holes work also include white holes. The full description actually is a set of black holes and white holes back to back. What's a black hole for one universe where things fall in is a white hole in the next universe where stuff gushes out. But the interesting thing in all of these pictures where you have a black hole, white hole situation is that if you take into account the effects of rotation on the black hole, the entire structure inside the black hole change. In particular, one of the things to come out of this, theoretically, is that you could possibly use this black hole as a portal, as a time tunnel from our universe to some future universe, or perhaps even some past universe.
Such a journey into a black hole would be fraught with dangers.
If you can go through that wormhole in space and time, then you can travel very, very near the center of the hole. You can travel very near where the matter of the star collapsed down to, where you have this tremendous curvature, this high warping of space and time. And there are problems with that. For example, if you could travel very near that place where you have infinite space-time warping, according to Einstein's famous equation E equals mc squared, the energy in the gravitational field of the hole produces a lot of matter that fills up the wormhole and chokes off any possibility of space travel to future universes. And this is one of the ways in which we think nature prohibits time machines. Nature takes care of things and makes sure that things won't come out too irrational by having a time machine. It chokes off the possibility of getting through the wormhole.
Perhaps the tunnel through a black hole will forever remain blocked, but the possibility always remains that someday someone will make a discovery which will allow us to visit Earth's distant past or glittering future. Carol Amato has a background in social science and is a member of OASIS. She has a special plan for accomplishing her goal of space travel.
I use the computer in my work, and I'm hoping that by doing so, this will provide a career path for me to get into space. My children I'm trying to prepare just by being adaptive to new situations. Tracy has a tremendous interest in growing things, plants and baby animals. I'm hoping she'll take this interest into space because it's going to be necessary to want to nurture things in order to make the environment be a psychologically pleasing one and to recreate something of the Earth. Damon's a very active boy. I hope he can utilize that energy that he has in some constructive way. Maybe he can go into space and become one of the pioneers.
With the successful flight of the space shuttle and the likelihood of civilian space travel on the horizon, it is not difficult to imagine families like Carol Amato's someday traveling into space. Perhaps one day, a boy Damon's age will solve the mystery of what lies on the other side of a black hole or at the place beyond the stars. What are the limitations of the galaxy? Will we ever travel faster than the speed of light, or backward and forward through time?
I don't think that any scientist would categorically say, no, we will never travel faster than the speed of light. No, we'll never have time travel. But if we ever do, then this would have to come from a whole new view of science, a new super science, whereby we understand today's limitations as one separate little case. In other words, the kind of science that would give us travel into the past or travel faster than the speed of light would be as advanced over us today as we are over Neanderthal man.
Coming up next, 20th Century with Mike Wallace reports on the scrutiny of the police in the wake of the Rodney King and Amadou Diallo incidents. Then fly helicopters into battle with the 1st Air Cavalry in Vietnam on weapons at war. And later tonight, The Men Who Killed Kennedy takes a close look at the evidence that Lee Harvey Oswald may not have acted alone. At 9, here on the History Channel, where the past comes alive.